you are one bee. You weigh less than a single raindrop, and you will live for only a few weeks. Alone, you are almost nothing. But you are not alone. And this quiet, empty field is about to change forever. Stage 1. The swarm. It begins with a swarm. 10,000 of you pour into the open air, a living cloud searching for a home. Homeless like this, a swarm is a gamble against time itself. Scouts race ahead of the others, hunting for the perfect place to begin. They return and dance to argue for the best sites they have found. The whole swarm debates until at last it agrees on one. The choice must be right because you will only get to make it once. You find your home in the hollow of an old tree at the edge of a bare field. It is dark, dry, and safe, and it will do perfectly. And at once you get to work. There is no blueprint here, and no leader shouting orders. Yet within hours you begin to build. Thousands of you link legs and hang in living chains to shape the comb. From your own bodies you make wax, warm and pale and soft. Your bodies must stay warm, or the wax will never form at all. You mold it into perfect six-sided cells, one of the strongest shapes in all of nature. Comb rises in the darkness, sheet by careful sheet. At the heart of it all sits your queen. She is the only mother the entire hive will ever have. One by one, she lays her first eggs into the fresh, waiting cells. The hive is alive now, warm and humming in the dark. In time, this dark hollow will hold 100,000 lives. But a hive cannot live on wax alone. To survive, you must go out into a world you have never seen. Stage 2. The first flight. So you fly. You leave the darkness of the hive and rise into the open light for the very first time. The world out here is enormous and you are tiny inside it. Below you stretches the bare field, still and almost empty. But at its far edge you see them. A handful of young fruit trees, thin and small, dotted with pale spring blossom. You have never tasted nectar in your life. Yet something ancient inside you knows exactly what to do. For a creature so small, the courage this takes is enormous. You dive into the very first flower and you drink. The nectar is sweeter than anything you could ever have imagined. And without knowing it, you gather a fine dusting of golden pollen across your fur. You carry that pollen to the next blossom, and the next, and the next. Back and forth you go, tree to tree all day long. One wrong turn on the wind could cost you your life. Miss your way home and the colony behind you slowly starves. Yet somehow you always find your way back. To you, this is simply food. But to these trees, your visit is everything. Because you have just begun a bargain millions of years in the making. Stage 3. The bargain. Here is the secret that the flowers keep. They cannot move. They cannot walk out to find one another. So long ago they made a quiet deal with your kind. They offer you sweet nectar, and in return, you carry their pollen for them. Over millions of years, flowers and bees slowly shaped one another. Their colors, their scents, even their shapes were tuned to fit you. You, in turn, grew the fur and the hunger that make the whole deal work. Neither of you ever planned it, yet neither of you can live well without the other. The flowers dress themselves in color and scent for one reason only, to call you in. Every flower you land on is quietly fertilized by the dust you leave behind. And weeks after your visit, something remarkable happens. Where there was once only a blossom, a tiny green fruit begins to swell. One flower becomes one apple. 1,000 flowers become 1,000. The thin little trees hang heavy with fruit for the very first time. A single tree standing alone would bear almost nothing at all. None of it, not one single apple, would exist without you. This is not kindness, and it is not luck. It is one of the oldest partnerships alive on Earth. Even now, 1 in every 3 bites of human food depends on a bargain like this. You did not plant these trees, but you are the reason they can feed anything at all. And you are only just getting started. Stage 4. The golden loop. Season after season, the bargain repeats itself. Every spring, you rise to pollinate. Every autumn, the trees let go of fruit that is heavy with seed. Some of those seeds fall and take root in the warm soil. New saplings push up bravely between the older trees. The bare field is disappearing before your eyes. In its place, rows of living green begin to spread across the land. Your hive is growing too, thick with tens of thousands of workers. When it grows too full to hold them, a new swarm leaves to build a second home nearby. One hive becomes two. Two quietly become many. More bees mean more blossom pollinated, which means still more trees. More trees mean more blossom, which means still more bees. It is life feeding life, in a golden loop that turns a plain field into something greater. Birds arrive to nest in the branches you helped to fill. Where there was once only silence, there is now birdsong and buzzing. A whole community of life is quietly taking root around you. Everything is thriving, which is exactly the moment the danger arrives. Stage 5. The Reckoning. At first, you do not even notice them. Tiny mites no larger than a pinhead, riding in on the backs of your own sisters. They spread through the hive in silence, feeding on your young. You cannot fight what you cannot even see. The mites multiply faster than you can raise new workers to replace the lost. One by one, your sisters grow weak and begin to tremble. Fewer and fewer bees leave the hive each morning, and then the weather itself turns against you. A late and brutal frost sweeps across the orchard in a single night. The delicate spring blossom blackens and dies on the branch. Outside, the frost-killed trees stand bare and gray. No blossom means no nectar. No nectar means no food. Inside the hive, the winter stores run low and a deadly cold creeps in. A hive this week has almost no defense left. Each cold night, a few more of you simply do not wake. The cluster at the center grows smaller and smaller. The gentle humming that once filled the trees falls completely silent. The hive that once roared now barely whispers. A colony that took years to build can vanish in a matter of weeks. For the first time, the entire future you built hangs by a single thread. This is how the story quietly ends for so many colonies. But not, this time, for you. Stage 6. The Return. Deep inside the hive, your queen is still alive. And gathered close around her, a small core of survivors refuses to give up. They keep her warm through the very worst of it, clustering tight and shivering to make heat. Every degree of warmth they make together is what keeps her alive. It is the most fragile kind of courage there is. Recovery does not come in a rush. It comes slowly, one warm day at a time. The cold begins to loosen its grip. The sun climbs a little higher in the sky each day, and one bright morning, the surviving trees do the bravest thing they know how to do. They bloom again. Fresh blossom bursts open across the branches, pink and white against a clear blue sky. Your queen begins to lay once more. New workers hatch, dry their wings, and lift into the air. The foraging begins all over again. Flower by flower, the hive slowly refills. Tree by tree, the orchard wakes back up. What very nearly died now comes roaring back to life, stronger and wiser than before. Life, it turns out, is far harder to kill than it looks. And now, at last, you are ready to see what all of it has become. Wonder. The orchard. So rise. Rise up high above the trees and look down at what one small hive has made. Beneath you stretches an orchard, vast and green, rolling gently all the way to the distant hills. From up here, the bare, empty field you began with is gone completely. It is a sight almost too big to take in all at once. Thousands upon thousands of trees stand in neat and seemingly endless rows. In spring, the whole valley turns pink and white with an ocean of blossom. In autumn, the heavy branches bend low under the sheer weight of fruit. Every spring, the air itself hums with the sound of a million wings. Bees drift between the flowers in their millions. They are the great-great-grandchildren of your very first swarm. Dotted among the trees stand rows of white hives, each one a busy kingdom of its own. This single orchard now feeds families, towns, and countless creatures beyond counting. Deer shelter in its shade and songbirds fill its branches. And every apple, every seed, and every tree began with one small thing. One hive, in the hollow of an old tree at the edge of an empty field. It began with you. The greatest orchards and forests on earth are almost never built by the strong. They are built by the small, working patiently together, one flower at a time. Somewhere out there right now, a single bee is leaving her hive for her very first flight. She has no idea that she is about to grow an entire world.